From the headquarters of the Guild of Champions, this is the Becoming Thin podcast, and I am your host, Chris Terrell. And welcome to another week of your weight loss quest. How did this last week go for you, champion? What new challenges did you encounter? But more importantly, what failure did you go through, and what lesson did you get from that failure? Come on now. Don't let a perfectly good failure go by without you getting your lesson. That's your reward for your troubles, after all. Now, if you're new here, I've lost 125 pounds myself after an entire adulthood of chronic yo-yo dieting. Up, down, up again. Before I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired with that, and made some permanent, meaningful, and actual changes to my real-life lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and to my systems of belief. Because it's all six of those things that created the results of my life, and if I wanted to get new results, I was going to have to go change those same six things in a permanent way, in a way that would last long after the weight loss journey was done. And now I'm here to help you get the same results in your life, to help you accomplish the core four goals of becoming thin, healthy, happy, and in shape. Not by taking a round trip ticket. No. I want to help you move there, stay there, make that your new place, your new way of living, the new way of being. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for being a listener of the podcast. I know that for many, you've heard my announcement that I've had to unfortunately take the podcast publishing schedule to every other week. And I'm doing this because I've got a massive project that I have been working on now for a couple of months. It's called the Daily Listening Program. It is a year-long coaching program, audio, where you have something to listen to every single day. And 10 weeks into it right now, and it is creatively demanding, very, very demanding, on top of the normal guild schedule that I do, which I've also now gone to where we're doing daily sessions. And we have the Empowerment Boot Camp starting next week. And I've got so much going on that, unfortunately, I was just running out of bandwidth. And by the time I was getting to Friday, I was pretty mentally gassed on the creative front. So I've got to keep the podcast going, so I needed to take this to every other week. Now, at some point, we'll probably go back to weekly. But for now, as I'm working through this major project, I need to make that adjustment. Now, I'm working on a couple other special things, and I know for many of you, you've been a loyal listener to the podcast for a while, but I do want to challenge you to consider, if you've already gotten the results, wonderful. I'm so happy for you. But if you haven't gotten the results, if you're still struggling with the weight, it might be time to level up your strategy. Maybe time to go beyond just listening to the podcast. And so I want you to consider taking this daily listening program that I'm doing and coming in and taking part in the new program that I'm doing for how I approach weight loss. I've broken it down into stages and really making a lot of strides in helping people make real meaningful changes. You can learn more about the Guild by going to imnotquitting.com. And this week, I really wanted to talk about several things that are really important, that they're going to help you on your journey. You see, I've had the benefit now of not only losing my weight myself years ago and maintaining it now for over half a decade, I've gotten to help a lot of other people and watch other people become thin, healthy, happy, and in shape. And I've watched a lot of people fail. And I wanted to talk about what works, what doesn't. Just maybe give some tips and some things that will help you out. One of the things that's really important, really, really important, is to make sure that you're dealing with the root cause of your weight loss. You see, there's a reason you need to lose weight. It's because of the weight gaining problem. Have you ever stopped and thought about that? Why? Why do you need to lose weight in the first place? Well, you need to lose weight in the first place because you have excess body fat on your body. Well, why is the excess body fat there? Well, it's there because you've been living in a caloric surplus for a good long while. Regularly, in fact. You're regularly putting your body into a state of caloric excess. And it could be from overconsumption, even though you're moving a lot, or it could be not too much consumption, but maybe not moving enough. Or in many cases, it's actually overconsumption and undermoving. It's a bit of both of those. And you've got to make changes. And so a lot of people are like, well, great, I'll just go move for a while and I'll lose all the weight and everything's going to be fine. And of course, people will lose all the weight and they might keep it off for a little bit. But what ends up happening? Well, they end up going back to what they were doing before. The reason why they go back to what they were doing before, because what they were doing before is their normal. It's their baseline way of living. It's the lifestyle, habits, and routines that created the body that they wanted to leave behind. Many people are seeking to lose weight without changing the lifestyle that created the weight gain in the first place. And they're dieting. They're jumping to calorie counting. They're jumping to cutting out food groups, or maybe even jumping to something like Ozempic or Wegovy, a GLP-1, as it were. Thinking like, well, I'll do this and I'll just get the weight off and everything's going to be fine. It's right. But why did you gain the weight in the first place? So many people, they think to themselves, well, it's because there's something wrong with my body. Oh, I just can't do it. I'm broken. I didn't win the genetic lottery. I'm a food addict. There's too many unhealthy foods around. I don't even like eating healthy foods. Failing to see that it's none of those things that are the real problem. Sure, they may be contributing factors, but consider it's the excessive eating. Why do you think a GLP-1 works? It makes you eat less. Now, it makes you eat so much less that the movement doesn't become as big a deal, but often a person will pair it with some movement. And look, if you become reliant on the GLP-1 forever, that's okay. Just know that if you take it, there's a high chance you're going to have to keep taking it. Now, maybe you can wean yourself off of it and find that the habits that you created will be there. But what if the reason why you gained weight is because you struggle with emotional eating? What if the reason why you gain weight is because you get stressed? And the stress causes you to want to do things like eat or not move. Or what if you have a lot of social and peer pressure and you go off the GLP-1 and then the social and peer pressure is still there, but now you don't have the ability to say no anymore because you didn't have to say no because you just didn't want it. Are you really saying no if you didn't want it? That's the thing I realized. For me to lose my weight and keep it off, I had to learn how to say no when I wanted to say yes. Very different than saying no when I want to say no. Like, that's not the same thing. And so I've really changed up my program now to really focus on 4 key critical components and skills that you need to master in the beginning. If you don't master these 4 skills, you're going to find weight loss is going to be tricky. Many people come in and they're like, oh, I want to jump to calorie tracking. I want to jump to dieting. I want to jump to losing this weight. If I'm not losing weight, I'm not winning. It's like, well, I get you. I get why you might think that. And once upon a time, I would too. But you see, for me, when I started losing my weight, it was only when I finally decided to stop dieting. It was only when I finally decided I got to start changing my life. I got to start actually changing my behaviors and be willing to do those new behaviors, even if I'm not losing weight. And the best way to prove that is by doing them and not losing weight, right? Funnily enough, I actually lost a little bit of weight. I lost 4 pounds my first month. I didn't count calories or quote unquote do diety things until 6 months in. So what are the 4 things you need to learn how to do? Well, number one, you need to learn how to eat what you say you're going to eat. You need to be able to say, tomorrow I'm going to eat these foods, and then you go do it. I mean, if you're going to count calories or go on some sort of prescriptive diet to do the weight loss, you're going to need the ability to eat what you say you're going to eat. Just winging it, YOLOing it, and going off of vibes doesn't usually work. You got to be able to say, tomorrow I'm going to eat this. And then when something unexpected shows up, you got to know how to say no. And so the next thing you need to be able to do is you need to be able to control and make choices on what you're going to eat. I don't really care what it is in the beginning. You just need to be able to say, tomorrow I'm going to eat this and I'm going to stop before I'm full. I got to be able to say no to volume. I got to be able to say no to volume. And then I got to be able to say no. I just got to be able to say no to me, to others. I got to be able to say no without invoking the holy weight loss card. Without invoking the weight loss card. You see, it's this weight loss card that causes all the problems. Because it basically telegraphs to me and everybody else, well, I'm only making this change because I'm losing weight. No, that's dieting. You got to be able to make the change and say no just because. You got to be able to do that. And then the last thing you got to be able to do is you've got to be able to sit in hunger. You've got to be able to sit in hunger. Like you need to be wanting to eat and not eat. You don't got to do that to maintain your weight. You got to be able to do that to lose the weight. If you got to lose 100 pounds, you're going to do that regularly. But so many people, they don't want to learn how to sit in hunger. And so they try to calorie count and try to manage it. And so you got to be able to say no to yourself. You got to be able to eat what you say you're going to eat. You got to be able to have the volumes, and you got to be able to say no in general. I think I already said that one. You got to be able to say no when you're able to say yes. You got to be able to say no when you're able to say yes. If you can't do that, you're not going to make it. And so many people want to jump to the dieting part. They want to jump to the calorie counting because if I'm not losing weight, I'm not winning. But you see, that's just it. Losing weight doesn't mean you've changed your behaviors. I have seen so many people lose weight and then something happens, they stop losing weight and they go right back to doing what they were doing over the course of 6 months to a year. Because it happens slowly, they don't notice it. Yes, some people go running back to the life that made them big overnight. Some people do it right away. Most don't. From one of my experiences shown that most, it happens slowly. Sure, a bunch of things will come rushing back, but a lot of the big stuff, it'll take 6 months to a year for it to fall apart. You know, we gain back weight 10 pounds at a time, 5 pounds at a time, 6 pounds at a time, 15 pounds at a time. And before you know it, like, said I'd do something before I got to this weight. Next thing you know, you're right back where you started. Because the person was so focused on losing weight and going on a diet and not focused on changing their lifestyle habits and routines, environment, community, and belief systems. They weren't interested in creating a lifestyle that was incompatible with being big and only compatible with being thin. They weren't interested in that. And when a person's not interested in that, well, of course, that's not what they end up getting. It's so important to really think about this. So important. You see, emotional eating for your feelings, sits at the heart of a lot of this. It really does. And that's why I start with my program now in the Guild, where we don't even start with calorie counting. We're just going to start with, can you write down what you're going to eat tomorrow and then go and eat that? Can you do that? Because if you can't do that, you're not ready to track calories. You don't need to track calories. You maybe don't even need to be worried about losing weight yet, because you got to work on changing your behaviors. I'm not interested in helping you lose weight and gain it back. I'm not interested in doing that. I'm interested in helping you lose weight and keep it off, which is just what I did. And you do that by focusing on the weight gaining problem. You do that by focusing on the behaviors that you did that created the weight gain in the first place. Once you focus on getting to the place where you can pick what you're going to eat, you can pick how much you're going to eat, you'll learn how to say no, and you're able to sit in hunger. Now you're ready to start doing the diety things. When I say diety things, I mean things that are putting you into a calorie deficit, and things that are going to put you in a calorie deficit. That's what's so important. You got to be able to go into a calorie deficit over a consistent and prolonged period of time. For a prolonged period of time. If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to lose weight and keep it off. You see, you will not install a new life in 6 months. You probably won't install it in a year. You're not changing 10 things here. Many people, they're like, well, let me tell you the 10 things I have to change. No, you're not changing 100 things. You're changing thousands of things. Every interaction with food, every social situation, every routine, every belief that touches food and movement. And some of those situations only show up once a year. Your birthday, one time a year. That's a single rep to offset 45, 55, 65 birthdays of doing it the old way. Year one, you're probably going to do it the old way and regret it on the other side anyway. Now you got to wait a whole nother year for the next attempt. Date night, maybe you're 45 reps a year. You'll learn that one faster. Look, taking 2 or 3 years to unlearn 40 or 50 years of conditioning is actually fast. And if you got to take the first 3 to 6 months to not worry about weight loss, but just to worry about getting good at the 4 skills, that's pretty damn fast. Let me go over the 4 skills again. You got to be able to choose foods. You got to be able to choose the volume of the food. You got to be able to intentionally adjust the volume of the food. And you got to be able to say no to yourself and others. I think I bungled them when I said them earlier. I'm doing this off the cuff. Right? Say tomorrow, I'm going to eat X, and then actually eat it. Not just what you're going to eat, how much. Right? You're going to when your body says, I want more, but you're not hungry anymore and you're not full, you need to be able to say, I'm good. When somebody offers you more, you have to know how to say no without pulling the diet card. You've got to be able to intentionally adjust the food and volume, because life is going to be like life. Over the course of a year or two, unexpected things are going to come and mess with your plan. Travel, illness, work chaos, somebody else's plans for your day. You must be able to make a real-time choice that aligns with your goals instead of getting swept up in emotions and vibes. If outside food and outside people are constantly pulling off course, then that's a skill you need to master first. And you got to be able to say no. You must be able to say no to food you want, that you could eat, that's right in front of you, to another person offering it. And you got to be able to say no to yourself when your own brain is like, I need to have this. If you can't say no to food that you want and could eat, you're probably not ready to go into that long, prolonged deficit. It's probably going to trigger that. Look, here's the truth. Weight loss requires dieting techniques. It just does. Specifically, the one that puts you into a calorie deficit. That means you have to eat in such a way that you're underfeeding yourself relative to your output. And a calorie deficit is determined by how much you eat and how much you move, not by what you eat and what kind of movement you do. Those are preferences. That's why there are 1,000 different diets and 1,000 different training styles that all technically work. A calorie deficit, though, that's a temporary state, a temporary thing you're doing. After the weight loss phase is over, you got to move into maintenance. And over the course of the maintenance, I'll teach you how to strip the dieting techniques out of your life, getting them out of your life. Because we got to get every leftover dieting behavior pulled out. That way, what's left is lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and belief systems that produce a thin, healthy, happy, in-shape body automatically, because it's just how you live now. Just like the life you left behind. It's just what you do. You should be able to ask yourself along this journey, like with the changes you're making, like, could I do this for 10 years? If yes, it might be a lifestyle change. If no, it's probably a dieting technique. Fine for the weight loss phase, but that part you're going to have to stop doing, and you got to be making a lot of the 10-year changes. You got to be making a lot of the 10-year changes. You have to. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it if you don't do that. So let me reiterate what I said earlier. The single biggest mistake people make when they show up to lose weight is jumping right to the weight loss efforts, jumping straight to dieting. It's understandable because you might have been conditioned the same way I was. If I'm not losing weight, I'm not winning. If the scale isn't moving, I'm doing it wrong. That's the old way of doing things. That's worshiping at the holy scale. But when I teach weight loss, you're not dieting, you're changing your lifestyle. Your body is a byproduct of your lifestyle. Lifestyle is not one thing. It's the sum of your routines, which are built out of your habits, which are shaped by your environment, and your community, and your belief systems that are all running in your head about what you should and shouldn't do. If you go on a diet but leave everything there intact, you're setting yourself up for weight regain. And I did that for 20 years. Most of you have too. If you totaled up the weight, if you total up all the weight you've ever lost across every attempt, for most of you, the bigger number is what you weighed at your heaviest. That tells you something. You don't have a weight loss problem. You have a weight gaining problem. You've actually been pretty good, many of you, at losing weight. What you've never learned how to do is stop the regain. Maybe that's what you've never been good at. As I said, I'm not interested in helping you lose weight. I'm interested in helping you become thin, healthy, happy, and in shape forever. Your goal at the end of this journey is not to have lost weight. Your goal is to have adopted the habits, routines, environment, community, belief systems of a thin, healthy, happy, in shape person to the point where being overweight just is incompatible with that life. And it would be impossible for you to be overweight because it just won't match anything you do. Most people want to do the opposite. They want to keep their current lifestyle, the one that produced their current body, and just have the body of a thinner person at the same time. They think if I can just change my body, then everything else will change. Look, I tried that for 20-something years. I watched people try it. I've tried it for a long time, and it just doesn't work. So I want you to sit with this for the week. Are you dieting, or are you changing your life? Talk to you soon.